It was supposed to be the best night of their young lives. The night every teenager in Brookdale looked forward to. A night filled with glittering gowns, stiff tuxedos, nervous first dances, and whispered promises under dim gymnasium lights. For seniors, it was more than just prom. It was a farewell to childhood, a doorway to something bigger, brighter, unknown. For Claire Donnelly and Jake Mercer, prom night was meant to be unforgettable. She was 17, a thoughtful girl with auburn hair, freckles scattered across her nose, and a laugh that her friends said could light up the dullest room. He was 18, a football player with sandy blonde hair, tall and easygoing, the kind of boy teachers describe as polite, respectful, destined for a solid future. Together, they looked like the perfect couple. Sweethearts in sophomore year, they were inseparable. They had plans. She wanted to study journalism. He dreamed of engineering. Everyone in Brookdale High thought they'd last forever. But on May 23rd, 2014, when the last song of prom faded and Claire and Jake waved goodbye to their friends, they were never seen again. Their car disappeared with them, swallowed whole by the night. And for 9 years, their families lived with unbearable silence, haunted by the unanswered question, what happened after prom? No one could have imagined that the truth, their car, their final moments, was waiting at the bottom of an abandoned quarry, hidden in the darkness all along. The last known image of them is burned into everyone's memory. Claire in a long pale blue dress, Jake in a sharp black tuxedo with a matching blue tie. They were photographed outside the Brookdale High gym, Claire's corsage pinned to her wrist, Jake's boutonniere slightly crooked on his lapel. Their smiles were wide, unguarded, so full of the promise of tomorrow, after prom. They went to the Lakeside Banquet Hall, a traditional after-party spot where chaperones kept an eye while teenagers danced to music far louder than school administrators would ever allow. At around midnight, Claire texted her best friend Megan, headed out with Jake, might stop by Quarry Point for a bit. Quarry Point. Even the name made parents uneasy. It was a sprawling, abandoned limestone quarry on the edge of town. Deep pits filled with murky water, jagged cliffs, and graffiti-covered walls where generations of teens had gone to drink, to kiss, to escape the watchful eyes of adults. Dangerous, forbidden, but irresistible. At 12:23 a.m., Jake's phone pinged a tower near Quarry Road. That was the last digital trace. After that, silence. By morning, panic. Claire's parents expected her home by 1 a.m. And when she didn't arrive, her father drove the streets searching, headlights cutting through fog. Jake's mother tried calling again and again, each time sent straight to voicemail. By 7 a.m., both families were in the Brookdale police station, filing missing persons reports. The investigation began immediately. Detectives traced their route from the banquet hall, questioned classmates, combed through gas station surveillance cameras. But nothing. Their silver Honda Civic had simply vanished. No skid marks, no abandoned vehicle on the roadside, no sign of foul play. At first, rumors spread like wildfire. Some said they'd run away together, maybe to start a new life far from Brookdale. Others whispered about a secret fight, a possible accident, or even a darker crime. Theories multiplied, each more desperate than the last. Search teams dragged a nearby lake, scoured back roads, and even sent divers into Quarry Point's deepest pools. But the quarry was massive, dozens of pits, some more than 100 feet deep. Murky water made visibility almost zero. Each attempt ended the same. Nothing. Months passed. Seasons changed. By the time fall came, Claire and Jake's smiling prom photo hung on telephone poles, bulletin boards, and the walls of every diner in town. Their families never stopped searching, never stopped pleading on the evening news. But eventually, Brookdale moved on. The mystery became a painful legend, a story whispered by new students, a cautionary tale told by parents. Don't go near Quarry Point. Remember what happened to Claire and Jake. 9 years. 9 long years of silence. Then, in August 2023, everything changed. A construction company was contracted to clear land around Quarry Point for a new development project. Heavy machinery rumbled across cracked limestone roads, workers marking maps, preparing to drain one of the deepest pits. On a sweltering afternoon, a crane operator noticed something unusual. Near the bottom of the quarry's eastern pool, partially hidden by mud and algae, metal gleamed in the sun. At first, it looked like scrap, but as water levels dropped and more of the shape emerged, a sick realization spread. It was a car. The call to the sheriff's office was immediate. Within hours, deputies surrounded the quarry, floodlights illuminating the water's edge. A tow truck was brought in, chains sinking below the surface, clanking as they caught hold of steel. Slowly, inch by inch, the vehicle was dragged upward. When it finally broke the surface, dripping, rusted, encrusted in weeds, the sight silenced the entire crowd. A silver Honda Civic. The plates matched. The car belonged to Jake Mercer. Inside, forensic teams made a chilling discovery. 2 skeletal remains, strapped still in seatbelts, side by side. One in a tuxedo, the other in a pale blue dress. Claire Donnelly and Jake Mercer had been found. The revelation shook Brookdale to its core. The case that had haunted them for nearly a decade suddenly cracked open. But finding the car only deepened the mystery. Why hadn't it been discovered sooner? How did it end up at the bottom of that quarry pool? And perhaps most unsettling, was it truly an accident, or had someone made sure they would never leave Quarry Point alive? The Honda Civic was examined with painstaking care. The windshield was shattered inward, suggesting impact. The passenger side door was dented, as though it struck something on the way down. But what investigators couldn't ignore was the tire tracks found preserved in hardened dirt above the quarry edge. Tracks that suggested the car hadn't simply swerved by mistake. The angle was direct, almost deliberate. Friends and family were left reeling. Megan, Claire's best friend, broke down in front of reporters, clutching her phone, replaying the last text she ever received. Jake's younger brother, now grown, admitted he had spent years wondering if Jake had left by choice, abandoning them. Now he knew the truth, and it was worse. But the questions didn't stop. If this was an accident, why had the original searches failed to locate the car? Quarry Point had been searched. Divers had gone into those waters. Had the Civic been in a pool too deep to reach, or was it missed on purpose? Whispers grew louder. Some claimed teenagers at Quarry Point had seen another car that night, headlights following Claire and Jake as they drove away from a banquet. Others insisted a fight had broken out at the after-party. Tensions high between Jake and another boy jealous of Claire's attention, and one retired detective made a chilling statement. This car didn't just roll in, it was put there. Before I continue, let me pause. If you're still watching, if you're as drawn into this mystery as I was when I first uncovered the details, please take a moment to hit the like button. It helps more people discover these stories. And if you're new here, subscribe for more true crime mysteries that will keep you up at night. Now, let's return to Quarry Point. Forensic teams reconstructed the Civic's final moments. The gear shift was in drive. The keys were still in the ignition. Both Claire and Jake had their seatbelts fastened. The airbags had deployed. This suggested they were conscious when the car went in. They hadn't been placed there afterward. Toxicology tests were impossible after 9 years underwater, but no obvious injuries were found on the skeletons that pointed to foul play. Still, that didn't explain everything. Why had neither of them escaped? The quarry water wasn't instantly lethal. If the car went in slowly enough, windows could have been rolled down, doors forced open, unless they were unconscious, or unless the impact had left them trapped, dazed, unable to move as the Civic sank. The families demanded answers. The sheriff promised a full review of the original investigation, and quietly, rumors began pointing toward a cover-up. Some in Brookdale whispered about the Quarry Point kids, teens who had gathered there regularly, who knew the quarry better than anyone. Maybe someone had seen the Civic go over the edge that night and stayed silent out of fear. Others hinted at darker involvement, suggesting an influential local family, desperate to protect their own, might have ensured evidence was overlooked. And then there was the strangest detail of all. When investigators pulled the Civic from the water, they discovered graffiti on the cliff wall, barely visible beneath algae, letters carved crudely in spray paint. Some were illegible, but 3 stood out: C+J forever. Had Claire and Jake stopped there willingly? Were they alone? Or had someone forced them toward the edge, turning a night of celebration into a final, tragic plunge? 9 years of silence had left scars. Claire's parents admitted they had clung to hope she was still alive, maybe somewhere far away, waiting to be found. Jake's mother wept at the graveside, confessing she had dreamed of him knocking at the door one day, smiling as if nothing had happened. Those dreams were gone now, replaced with the bitter weight of truth. The town of Brookdale held a candlelight vigil at Quarry Point. Hundreds gathered, holding flickering flames against the dark cliffs, remembering the couple whose smiles had been frozen in that prom night photograph. The quarry, once a playground for reckless youth, was now sealed off with fences and warning signs. The official conclusion came months later: accidental death. Investigators ruled that Jake likely lost control near the edge, the Civic plunging before either teen could react. But not everyone accepted it. Too many questions lingered. Too many details didn't add up, because maybe it was an accident. Or maybe on that prom night in 2014, someone else was waiting at Quarry Point. Someone who made sure Claire, Donnelly, and Jake Mercer never saw another sunrise. The mystery of Brookdale's prom night will never fully fade. Even with the Civic recovered, with the quarry drained, and with their remains finally laid to rest, the unanswered questions echo louder than ever. What really happened on that drive? Why did no one see? And who, if anyone, still carries the burden of knowing the truth? If you found yourself holding your breath during this story, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who loves true crime mysteries, and subscribe for more chilling tales of the unexplained. And tell me in the comments, do you believe it was just a tragic accident? Or is there more to this story? Something Brookdale has buried deeper than the quarry itself? Because sometimes the scariest secrets aren't the ones we never find. They're the ones